afternoon to all of you. First of all, thank you for attending for this afternoon session. All right. Okay. I'll try to finish this talk within 2 hours. Okay. By the meantime, if you have any question, can you post it in the chat room? Any question? Can you post it in the chat room?
Ada Zoom tau. Ada Zoom. Ada Zoom ni dengan UPM.
Uh,
Yes.
And then another thing is that for the slide, I will upload it in the chat room later in around 12:30. And also we are also conducting a very short survey. Just I want to get your email so that I can email to you the recorded version of this session. Okay, so all that will be in around 12:30. So if you have any question, can you please post it in the chat room. We have a certain period of break, so I'll try to answer it during the talk. All right. Okay. Preparing for the Viva voice. So I assume that most of you are here because of we have submitted the thesis. So just to know how many of you have just submitted the thesis and waiting for the Viva. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. So what is a Viva? Okay, I try to give my talk this afternoon based on the UPM rules and also based on my experience, my student experience and so on. So it be more practical in terms of the UPM terms lah. Right. Uh, Normally especially when a master science and PhD students, so when this word Viva is really frightening them. Okay. So Viva, when you Viva, where people will asking you when is your Viva after you submit this thesis, they will ask you when is your Viva, how is your preparation for Viva, because Viva is the last stage, the last stage of your uh, journey, your PhD journey and your master science journey. So during Viva is where you need to the oral part of the examination of your thesis. So at this point, okay, we really want to know on your scholar of your thesis. So we actually want to know whether you know or not what you have been researching on, what you write on your thesis and so on. So Viva is you need to know from A to Z, from your thesis, from the first from the from the title and then towards the end. All right. So why is so important? Why do we need for a Viva voice? Why don't we just give your certificate without a Viva? Okay. These are among the purpose for the Viva. Okay. First, because we are normally we want to look to examine the academic content and the scholarship level of a thesis. Okay, this one is very important. Okay, the first thing that we want to make sure, okay, we too, what I mean by we is that the examiners and also the faculty, okay, we want to ensure that your thesis is reach at certain level. For example, if this is a PhD thesis, so it should reach a PhD level and so on. Eh? And then another thing that we want to look on is that whether the research that you are conducting is within your field. Let's say you are doing the educational technology, so we want to make sure that the research or the thesis that you wrote is on that educational technology and also at the master science level or also PhD level. And PhD also is to provide candidate with the opportunity to defend the thesis. Okay, you need to understand when you did your thesis, okay, so normally you are working with your supervisors and co-supervisors. So basically there are 3 or 4 person only involved in your thesis from your from your started register until towards the end. So normally these three or four people will look into your thesis. But sometimes you need to know that uh, during your studies, we need to have the third person, the other person personal view on your research, so that you can have a varieties of input from other aspects. So that's why during the Viva, okay, you will have a certain different input and so on, because the readers who are going to read your thesis is those who will never get involved with your studies. So they have certain different view. Okay, so then during the Viva, you need to this is the opportunity for you to defend your thesis. Eh? And then the third one, that we want to make sure that the design methodology and your outcome of the research is correct. Eh? Sometimes even though you have your supervisor and co-supervisors, sometimes we supervisors and co-supervisors, we didn't realize that other certain aspect. Because we have been with you for 3 or 4 years. So normally we already know. Eh? And sometimes we make a mistake that we lack of some objective that didn't achieve and so on. That's why in the Viva we need to have someone with a fresh mind, a person who doesn't involve in your study at all, so they will have a new idea, not new ideas. They have a new, what we call that. The your examiner, normally examiner will be the one who never uh, know what is your research. So they'll be the fresh one who are going to read your thesis. So maybe they have the examiner will have the different types of ideas. And then to provide evidence to help the examiners arrive at the judgment of the thesis. So during the Viva, okay, this student, you need to understand, okay, when you submit your thesis, okay, so you submit previously is in the hard copy form, and now in the soft copy form. Okay, so when you submit your thesis, the only thing that communicate with the examiner is your thesis, the hard copy or the soft copy. But then you need to understand that sometimes some examiner having with a very hard time to understand what you wrote in your thesis. Some students with a good English or good writing or good academic writing, so they will wrote it in a very good manner. But we can, most of the thesis we have having certain problem to understand what actually the student meant in the thesis. So this is the opportunity for the students and also the co-supervisors uh, to to uh, to defend, to what we call that, to explain more on what the examiner didn't understand. And lastly, okay, so this Viva will help the examiners to make your recommendation. And then I would like to just to give you some tip that, okay, some we have come across several. I've come across several Viva that before Viva we have a different recommendation after compared to after Viva. For example, sometime before Viva, we give a resubmission, for example, or Reviva and so on. But after the Viva process, we change the decisions. So maybe we could give a minor, and but then mostly is for a better grade lah. So Viva is an event is very important that it will help to persuade your examiners in terms all sort of terms. So even though they will change their decision during the Viva was. So you need to be prepared for your Viva this one. Right. Okay. So these are some of the reason. The, the purpose of the Viva. So for the personal statement, okay. So for to confirm your understanding on what you have written, okay. Another thing is that for the awareness, this one I've informed before, I've told before, to investigate awareness on how your work. And so actually during the Baba, we want to know whether you are you understand or not on the research that you are doing, whether this research is reflecting your field and so on. And also for the Baba also help to develop the opportunity for you to for your future role and so on. All right. So normally in the Viva, okay, you have you, okay, the first one. Okay, of course we need to have the student inside. If the if the student, okay, if the candidate did not attend the Viva, the Viva will cancel. Okay, and then the chairman, and now we have what we call the assistant chairman. So the chairman will chair the meeting, whereby the assistant chairman is normally will help the chairman in preparing the report and also give also comment during the viva. So, but then the real verdict comes from the chairman. And then we have the examiners. Okay. Okay, for PhD, we have two internal examiners. What does it mean by two internal examiners? Is normally we can have it from the UPM, okay. But if in the UPM we short of examiners, okay. Sometimes examiners they are full. We can appoint any examiners. We can also appoint examiner from other universities to become internal examiners. Whereby during the viva, the examiners, the outside examiner need to come. I've come across my student when we having difficult time to find examiners from the UPM, okay, due to some reasons that we have to appoint examiner from UM to be as our internal examiners. But from these two, we give the opportunity for the internal from the UPM examiners first. Then we open that for the internal examiner. But then one of them must be from the UPM. And then for the masters, we need to have only one internal examiners. And this one must come from the UPM. And also we have one external examiners. Okay. So what the external examiners can must be from the other universities. So if your thesis written in Malay, so normally the external will be come from Malaysia or maybe Indonesia. But if your thesis in English, there is a might possibility that we get the examiners from overseas. So this one for the exam, and then you have the supervisor. Okay, your supervisor is not compulsory to come. You need to understand that. Your supervisors we are encourage your supervisors to attend the viva. eh but if your supervisor didn't come, so we can proceed with the viva. Okay, and then during the viva, your supervisor cannot say anything except saying thank you at towards the end. Okay, thank you very much towards the end. Okay, but then on the whole process, the supervisor need to just to hear and listen. And if during the viva, if any unless the chairman or the examiners request the supervisors to help the student answer for on the behalf of the student, then the supervisors can. If not, supervisors are not allowed to say anything during the viva. And then is one the secretariat is the secretariat is the one who are going to in charge to prepare for the viva. Okay, in order for the viva to start, okay, you need to have the compulsory. You need to have the candidate, the chairman, okay, and also examiners. We have two examiners and one external examiners. So we have at least three people. So out of three, must be at least two of them should attend this Viva process. Let's say normally the external will not come. So we can proceed the Viva with the two internal examiners. So let's say one internal examiner cannot come, and then we have one external examiner, so we can still proceed. So of these three, at least two. But then for masters, the internal examiner need to come. Okay. All right. And during the Viva, these are the things. Communication, you can be in English or Malay. Okay. So previously, before the MCO, before this COVID, we have the face-to-face. But since last year, so most of our medium for our Viva is online. So for the online, we have pro and con, which I am going to discuss it later. And duration of the Viva, it depends. So some Viva maybe took 1 hour, maybe, but then some Viva normally it took 4 to 5 hours. But have some reason, uh, some Viva took days. Okay, 2 days sometimes, because after the first, let's say the first day, the examiners and the chairman having difficult to make a decision, so they continue the next day. Okay. My experience during for the Viva, the shortest Viva that I have been experienced is 2 hours. eh. That is for my student. Presentation 20 minutes and Q&A around 30 minutes. So within 1 hour and a half, like that lah. So the Viva process finished. But then the longest Viva that I've reached is that from morning to night. Because we have certain break. Because the examiner have something to do. The examiner have, we have some difficulties during that time. So we delayed. Okay, we have start, then we delayed, and so on, and then until we have need to continue at night. And then can you imagine if you are facing this type of difficulties? So Viva is not about preparing the thesis, also is preparing for your mental and also your physical and so on. So you don't know what's going to happen during the Viva. Some people will have a very pleasant Viva, but most of them will not. Okay, all right, okay. Don't worry, don't get scared. Okay, so okay, these are the rules. These are the rules by UPM. Okay, so these are your preparation. So the first thing that you need to wear a proper dress, dress code. So you are going to attend a very intellectual session. So you need to be a very intellectual person. So like having an interview, you need to wear proper dress code. You need to come early. Okay, my student, I will encourage them to come 1 hour before the Viva. Okay. Let's say the Viva is at 9. So by 8, my student need to be at the Viva room. Okay. Because the student need 1 hour to come down first. Okay. And then you need to understand that during Viva, you don't expect things will go, sorry, you don't expect things will go well. Sometimes we were having a problem with the internet connectivity. That one is for the face to face. But then for the online is different. Let's say maybe after this the MCO is over, then maybe in future your Viva will be conducted face to face. So need to come early. You come there and you test the computers in the Viva room and so on. And then you need to get things calm down, to get the feel inside the room. So normally I will ask my student to practice first. That's why my student need to come 1 hour before. Okay. So to get familiarized with the Viva room. And then for those who are doing the online, I would really suggest that you need to have certain try and error with your friend and other on. So recently we have problem. We have problem in the online. So sometimes during the Viva, so we have the internet connectivity problems and so on. You cannot hear sound and so on. So for the online Viva, it actually is more difficult, and it look more relaxed, but it's more difficult in terms of we are worried about the technical problem. Okay, even the wear proper dress code, even though you are doing the online. Okay, so you also need to wear a proper dress code. Okay, and then the second thing, that be honest and respectful of others. Okay, so you need to no, be good lah, be good in the Viva. So don't show your arrogant and don't show the all the negative attitude during the Viva. Because you need to understand that the one who are going to pass your thesis is not your supervisor during this Viva process. Is the examiners. The chairman and the two examiner is the we have the full power to give the verdict whether you pass or not. So please be respect to your examiners and also the chairman and also your assistant chairman. And then communication. So you need to communicate well. Be polite and listen well, clearly and effectively. And during Viva, there will be no recording. We have come across, I've experienced that some students, this is for the face-to-face. In fact, we have caught students trying to record, okay, to record the Viva. Sometimes now they are using the phone. So actually, the student recorded the Viva. Maybe the student want to save it for the future or what, or maybe they want to share with other. But then it's not allowed. So no recording. On the face-to-face or also during the online. Okay, for the online, the only one who can record is the faculty or the graduate school. So they have the authority to record, not the students or supervisor or the chairman. Eh? And then during the Viva, you cannot share with the outside party for the final examination. So during Viva, you cannot chat with someone. So you are Viva, and then you are keep updating your progress to other in the Facebook or what. Okay, you are in the Viva session now, and but at the meantime, at the same time, you are updating in your Facebook or in your Twitter or so on. So you cannot do that. Okay, so in the Viva, you cannot not involve in outsiders. Okay. Uh, for my session, if I as the examiner and also for me as a chairperson of the Viva, I will ask the student to off their handphone. So I want to make sure that there is no interrupt during the Vivas. So and also I want to avoid certain outsiders from come across. Uh, my experience during the Viva, sometimes that the student come with the supporters. That we have come across that some student they bring their supporters. So the supporter will be among their family and so on. The supporter will come near to the Viva room at the door and hear what we have told, what we have been discussed. Sometimes they are keep peeping on that windows and so on. So during that time, I asked the guard to ask them to leave. If not, I'm going to leave the Viva room because all these thing will what we call it to affect the process of Viva process. And then the last one is the Viva process. Okay, so you need to make sure that these things be prepared before the Viva starts. So these are the ethics, the ethics and the integrity. Okay, this one is by the Graduate School of UPM. Okay, and then okay, this one is for the online. Okay, for the online. Okay, So this is the new norm. Okay. So you can, it depends. Sometimes UPM, normally UPM you're using the Zoom, or also sometimes they are using the Webex and so on. So you need to be to get familiar with this. Okay. So and if Skype doesn't work, then we use the WhatsApp video and so on. But these are the things that the SDS is prepared. If you cannot, if there's something wrong with this one, we go for the next stage and so on. And the third one, that make sure your internet connection is strong and stable. So I would suggest that during this MCO, let's say you have already know when is your date, you try to do your mock Viva first. Do your mock Viva with your supervisor, do your mock Viva with your friends, do it 4 or 5 times. Okay, for the mock Viva, is for you to test. It's not only for you to test on your Viva, but then to make sure in your internet connection and so on. So if you are planning to do a mock Viva, try to do mock Viva at the same time with your Viva. Let's say your Viva is at 9, so you go and try to have a mock Viva with your supervisor at the same time at 9, but then in the different date. Just to make sure. And so if any problem, you can rectify it earlier and not trying to rectify it during the Viva. Last time I've been Viva at the student is at the Saudi Arabia, at Riyadh, I think. Okay. So during that time, we have some problem in internet problem. So the student need to rectify because the headphone, we cannot hear. We can see the face, but then we cannot hear the sound, the voice, and so on. So the student need to act quickly. How to solve that one? Okay. You need to understand. Sometimes during your Viva it's okay, but during your Viva is something different. And then you need to understand also when you do things very last minute, so everything you plan will get wrong. Yeah. So that's why you need to be 1 hour or 1 hour and a half earlier. So I would suggest that if you have your Viva is at 9, so at 8 you discuss with your supervisor, try to get the internet connection to make sure that all things are ready. Yeah. And then headphone can be used if you the last time we have problem with this one. Okay. So we cannot hear the student. So because the student didn't use the headphone. So so the student need to find the headphone. Luckily he managed to get one. I don't know where he got one, but luckily towards the end we have a very we finished the session. And then this one, make sure the battery level and so on. So I would really suggest that Viva, you don't use your handphone. So use your laptop. Okay, if you have a problem with the internet connectivity, go and find any place with a good connectivity. Okay, if more than one device, okay, this one we are only allowed you to have one device. But during last time, we are having a problem. The student having problem with the sound. So during that time, we allow the student to use laptop and also to use the handphone. The handphone is to speak, whereby the laptop is to display the PowerPoint, the presentation. Okay, so these are the new things that you need to prepare if your Viva is online.
你现在都会用 online，
Okay.
以后也未必，因为每个人都已经熟了。
Can you please Haikal off video audio? Right. Okay. All right. So we come to the okay. So these are the examiners. Okay. Okay. So normally there are different type of examiners. So they have some examiner we have a friendly and trusted. Okay. So this type of examiners will make you feel at ease. They will want you to explain your research. Okay, some we have as we have this type of examiner adversarial. Okay, so this type of examiner, they will challenge your idea, they would like to provoke, eh eh and then no, because you need to understand, there is no, you cannot judge the examiner, because the Viva is something that we want you to be, to show your scholar, eh so we want you to really understand what is written and so on, that's why sometimes in the Viva the examiner will be very aggressive, sometimes it will be very friendly, and maybe sometimes the examiner will be a very detailed, eh some examiner inspect the word, every word in the phrase, for example on page this one. For me, the one, I'm the advisor and also in the detail person, eh sometimes friendly interested, but not most of the time, because to me, Viva is a very some it's a process that you need to show your scholar to me, eh so that's why we want students to really understand, because we are going to, in future we are going to call you as a doctor, blah 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 blah, so you need to show that you are entitled for that title, eh so if you are, to me, that is my personal view, to me, if you want to have a PhD, if you are a person with a PhD, so you need to have this type of PhD component, PhD component is not about the research, it's about also the your scholar, it's about also your communication, it's about also you yourself, not about your research, not about your writing, about you, in person also, so to come to ask people to call you as a doctor, you need to compromise with your thesis, and also for your personal this one, right? Okay, sorry. Okay, I come. I want not a break. I just want to, I want to answer some in the chat room. Okay. All right. If there any question if you have any question related with this one, okay. So please upload this one. So okay, there is no question in the chat room. Okay. I'm uploading my file. Wait. Wait. I'm uploading my file. Okay. You can have the, okay, you can have my presentation in the chat room. Okay. All right. So we continue with our presentation. Okay. Why consider fail? Can you see the slide?
Not yet.
Huh? Wait. The Viva, they are still uploading. The Viva, they are still uploading. Okay. Never mind. For the meantime, we continue with our talk. Okay. All right. If you have any question, then you can pose it in the chat room. So I'll try to answer your questions. All right. Why you need to consider failure during your Viva? Can you see the slide, class? Class, brother. Okay, everyone. Okay. What is in our screen show? Is it the from the slide? Haikal, kat slide nampak apa? Dekat screen nampak apa? Slide
Tak ada,
No.
tak keluar lagi, Prof.
Tak ada langsung.
Sekejap.
Belum, Prof.
Wait. Sometimes when the Viva process ni, these are the problem. Okay, wait. Okay. Okay, so these are the things. So why consider that your Viva maybe is a failure? Sometimes maybe you fail your Viva, but you didn't fail your PhD. Then that one we go later. Then because they will have a different verdict. So why consider failure? Okay. Okay. The first thing is that examiners already have an impression on you. Okay. This one, because you need to understand that Viva is you dealing with human. Okay. Your examiner is a human. So you need to understand human have feeling, human have impression. So that's why I always told my students that when you submit your thesis, make sure that your thesis in a very, very, very proper manner. Okay. Uh, we we examiners have always having this problem. Do you know that some normally your thesis will reflect you. The way you present your thesis. The
然后呢，把那
我到下面就是用说的了。
Haikal, tolong mir. Okay. Okay. Sometimes that's why when you submit your thesis, you need to make sure that your thesis are in a proper manner, in terms of the formatting and so on. So examiner, if you want your Viva process to be early or to be quickly, you need to do something lah. You need to try to persuade not persuade in terms of contacting email or what. You can persuade your examiners by providing a very good thesis, a good written thesis, a good formatting, and so on. Do you know that if I'm as the examiners, if I'm an examiner, the first thing that I want to, the first thing that I've received your thesis, I will check the formatting first. That's me. Okay. I will check your formatting, whether your formatting is okay, whether it's and then the second thing, I'll check your references. If your references is not in the proper APA format and so on, so actually it really kill my mood. Okay. Sometimes the table is not using the format by the SGS and so on. Okay, sometimes font 12, 11, 10, so on. Sometimes very colorful, bold, not bold, single spacing, double spacing, without spacing. So some table of content is wrong and so on. So this type of technical error, okay, actually will give a different impression to your examiner. And I've been through so many examina as Viva, and normally a good thesis come from a good presentation. Meaning that if I look for the formatting is okay, the references is okay, which is this one, the thesis must be good. I never fail with my assumption. Hopefully that my assumption will be that forever. So uh, make sure that your this is in that one, because you need to understand that formatting and references is the easiest part in your thesis. So you don't need to have you need to find the literature. You just make sure the thesis is okay, and also that will show the neatness of you, whether you are a very particular person or whether you are type of person. Do you know that some I've come across some thesis, when I read the thesis, this is for the hard copies. When I read the thesis, in between the thesis there are something, there are different thing, there are different document. You know why? Because when you print the thesis at the shop, okay, the first thing that you need to know, when you planning to print your thesis in the shop, at the shop, you need to PDF your thesis from home. If you do the printing at the shop and then you do some editing, and then the page will be different. So I would suggest that you PDF first your thesis in your laptop, and then when you go to the shop just to print, you print the PDF without editing anything. If you do some editing there, the page will be different. And then okay, back to that one. I've received not many lah, only one or two cases that when I read the thesis, in between there is other document. This happen when when you print your thesis in at the shop. The shop, they are queuing, isn't it? They are queuing your thesis. Your thesis, let's say you want to print your thesis, is 300 pages, and then someone queue your thesis, someone queue printing. So basically the printer, they cut the queue. So whatever the other person print will be in your thesis, and you as your student, you didn't check. So after you have print, okay, let's say you have finished your printed the shop, you are the shop to bind, without checking back. So that's why we found some documents, some document in the thesis which are not related with your studies. So these are the things that show the neatness of you, whether you are what. Even though you have finished your printing, don't just go and then to ask them to ask the after the shop to bind. So you need to open back and check one by one, to make sure that everything in proper order. And I will also suggest that when you do the binding, okay, do the comb binding, not the stapler binding, or not the tape binding. I received a thesis with a tape binding after we have do you know the examiner sometimes we didn't read your thesis one at a time. We read thesis you have 100 at a time. Okay, so every time we open and then we get tear up. So I would suggest you do the combining or you do the spiral the wire binding. So you need to make sure yang your thesis in proper order lah. That one is the first thing that you need to be prepared, and then you need to consider the examiners are expert in your field. Don't underestimate your examiners. So you don't predict your examiners. So normally we in the faculties we will appoint examiners that really knows about your field. So you don't rely on luck, meaning that okay, don't worry, your examiner will not know. So don't rely on this type of things. So you need to make sure that you don't have all these type of errors. Okay, so or examiners already have doubt of your work. So some examiners they have already the early decision. So in fact this one also we as examiners also having some problems. Sometimes the way you write, the way you wrote, sometimes we know that this is a plagiarism. So sometimes we know that this thesis is not what we call that not conducted not been conducted well. So maybe there is some sort of unethical things. So try to avoid this one. And then examiners have already made that their mind to fail you. This one try to avoid nah. So how you want to avoid all these things? Easy. So when you do a research, when you do a thesis, when you write a thesis, you need to make you need to be very sincere with what you wrote. What in the thesis you need to be very sincere. You need to understand on every word in your thesis. You need to understand. You need to justify and so on. Okay. So if you have all these elements, if you do it by yourself, you don't do unethical things, so you don't need to worry. But if you didn't do it properly, unethical and so on, or you try to do a shortcut. So maybe you can maybe your supervisor don't know, but then your examiner will know. So for example, in the statistical analysis, I've come across during my Viva, during I'm a chairman, I'm the examiner for Viva. Okay, when I look at the data, the output of data, I can see that there's something funny about the data. Okay, so I've come across twice in the Viva. I asked the student to show the analysis. Eh? And the student cannot prove the analysis. Yeah, so I asked them to the student to open the expressor during the Viva because I want to know whether the student understand or not what are the output of the data. So I asked the student to show me the analysis. So she can't. No, he can't show the analysis. During that time, he even can't find the file. Eh? So so you need to understand that during the Viva, everything that you try to find your laptop, there will be no. You cannot find it, even though it's in front of your desktop. So during that time, everything is really upside down. Okay, all right. So if you think that for me, preparation for Viva when you do your research proposal, not after your submitting your Viva. Sorry, not after you're submitting your thesis. So you need to prepare for your Viva during your research proposal. What I meant by this one is that, okay, Viva is the process where Q&A is coming. So we will ask you why you do the objective, what is your problem statement, and so on, blah blah blah. Everything is why, how, justify, understand, show us. That's are the keyword that we are going to use during the Viva. What is your problem statement? How did you justify the problem statement? So that's why when you start developing your research proposal, these are the things you need to be alert. So if you say that these are your objective, then you need to justify why this objective, how you want to achieve the objective, and so on. The Q&A process start during your research proposal. Okay. Okay, so these are the things. So okay, let's say we have finished that one. Okay, so before is that let's say I can say that 2 or 3 days before the Viva. That one, the proposal is the early stage. Actually, your Viva preparation start when you do your research proposal until you submitting your thesis. Okay, right. So normally this one lah, isn't it? Before Viva, all type of illness will come. Okay, during this time you have the high blood lah, your diabetes lah, cannot sleep and so on, and everything. This time you school your daughter and so on, because we have this type of nerve. Okay, so try to relax. So if you already prepared your thesis well, you shouldn't have any problem with your Viva. The only thing that you need to scare if your thesis is not in the proper manner, or you don't understand what you are doing. So these are the things that you need to take care of. First thing, the emotional preparation. Okay, need to be relaxed. Go Switzerland, go Paris, go London to prepare for your emotional. Okay, and then know your limitation. Okay, for the Muslim, you can go to the mosque and now start reading the Quran. Okay, and then you need to know your limitation. You need to know that during the Viva, we also understand. We as examiner, we also understand that what are the limitation of the students. So you cannot go beyond on that one lah. And then revision of summaries. Okay, during the preparation for Viva, you need to read again. That's what I mentioned earlier. For Viva, you need to know every single word from first line to the last line. So normally my student, every word that written in the thesis is not a simply a word. You need to understand. Okay, every paragraph, every line that you wrote in your thesis, you should understand why and what are the purpose. Especially now we have so many sources from the internet, So students are copy and paste, and then put in the thesis without knowing, without understanding what are they are actually do copying and paste in the thesis. So you need to be ensure on that, and then review each chapter and summarize in points. So these are the things you need to do. Defend of research. Okay, try to ask your friend to do some mock viva and the Q&A process and so on. Okay, so this one the preparation, and then okay, questions. Try to anticipate questions and prepare sample answers. Okay, this one you can ask your friend, your friend to raise question and so on. Easy and hard question, open answer and so on. Yeah, and then for develop skills and techniques. Yeah, so skills in terms of skill, answering skill, communication skill, presentation skill, and whatever. So you need to be prepared on this one. Another thing that during the before the MCO, I always persuade my student to go to conferences. To go to conferences to present, to go to any whatever exhibition and so on, or any poster exhibition for competition, for the poster competition and so on, to present. Okay, so these conferences and also the seminars or whatever actually will help you to be more confident. So even though during the MCO, by right during the MCO you should have more opportunities to participate, because the first thing is that you don't have to travel. Yeah, you can do it online, and the other thing is the fees is very cheap. It's much cheaper. Normally we half. So go and present. Just write anything for the purpose of the seminar, but don't attend seminar without presenting. It's a waste of money, unless the conference is for you to gain the knowledge. But try to present during the conferences. Eh? And in UPM, in our faculty, normally we have what we have our local conference, which we call a graduate education, postgraduate education, GREDU. So normally will be held in the December. So I'm hoping that all of you could use this one, because it's very cheap, RM $50 only, and you have the opportunity to present. So many of our students previously will attend this one to decide to create a network, so it will help you to develop this one. So please, so that one is one thing. Okay, you need to you need to also spend some money on that lah. You don't rely on your supervisor to pay for you for the conference. This is for your own good. If you want to have a better life, or for the better decision, you need to spend. Okay, it's a win-win situation. You spend a little bit of money to develop your skill and so on. Okay, so these are the preparation, and right. So you need to define, illustrate, define, illustrate, defend. So in the Viva, you need to defend whatever the question. Okay, normally, very seldom in the Viva we give compliment to student lah, except at the beginning and when the verdict. Okay, in between we always ask why, and so on. So you need to have this elaborating skill.
WhatsApp
Okay.
masuk lah WhatsApp. Boleh.
Aika,
Apa
tolong,
ada
tolong
semua sekolah nak.
and then you need to be specific. You need to highlight what are the important things, and you have only 20 minutes for your Viva. So try to use these 20 minutes to highlight the important things. Okay, and then being explicit and also deflecting the criticism. So these are the elements that you need to have. These things you need to be prepared earlier, not during the Viva or the one. Okay. Okay, now I'm talking about the slide presentation. Okay, before that, let's have a look in the chat room. Uh, can you get the slide? Haikal, slide tak ada ke Haikal? Wait. I try to upload the slide.
Ada dah, Prof.
Tak ada. Tak, sebab dalam chat room ni dia kata tak ada. Right. Okay. Okay, for the slide presentation. Okay. So I'll give a little bit tips for you to prepare the slide presentation. Okay, I use this one for my students. Okay, when you do your slide presentation, we're preparing your slide. So you need to plan it out. So you need to know what are the things at the beginning. Okay, you need to plan what are you going to present from the first slide until the last slide. Discuss with supervisor what are the important things that normally need to be included in the slide presentation. So you need to plan first slide, what are first slide, second slide, third slide, and so on. What are the important component that need to be included in your slide? Okay, and then make it simple. Okay, and the keyword is that not wordy. Keep it your slide is very simple. Choose a layout scheme. So you know that Viva is a very stressful event process. So you try to use colors with a very small not bright colors and so on. Choose a layout scheme. So very cool scheme and so on. Choose a color scheme. So make sure that when you present, okay, your examiner can read the slide. So the color text and also your background should be compromised. And then also the font. Okay, so avoid from choosing fancy font. Okay, just a very simple one, Arial, Times Roman, Tahoma, or so what. So font that easily read and so on. Okay, and then use image wisely. So some of you you have in your TC you need to include some images. Okay, maybe graph or some what we call that output from the statistical analysis and so on. So make sure that this image is okay. Okay, use high quality, and then avoid too many words per slide. This one is very important. Avoid from having too many words. The last different proposal that I faced, the student copy and paste from the whole thesis. Okay, so the whole paragraph, the student copy in the slide, and they're expecting us to read that one. So normally in the slide, you just give the point form, the point form, because you need to understand during the Viva, as I mentioned earlier, we also want to see your scholar in your presentation. So we want you to present, not reading newspapers, not reading news or what. So you need to present. So you try to minimize using the word and more elaborate during your presentation. So avoid too many words, and then okay, limit bullet point. Normally in terms of bullet point, use appropriate chart, limit transition. No, I would suggest that there will no transition. Sometimes we have animation. This one, actually, this one the transition is more interrupting. So we don't need that. And then don't overdo. So make sure your slide is very simple, relaxed, and readable. And then when the examiners look, okay, look nice. Okay. I have previously I have experience with my students. Because the student is very creative. She used the Prezi, the Prezi software, very sophisticated, very complicated software. They have all the animation, and at the end of the presentation, the examiner getting dizzy, because too many animation on that. So actually it didn't help. It looked nice, but it didn't help the examiners. So don't overdo it. You can impress the examiner with your slide, but try to make it simple. Because you know that slide also important. The first thing when you look at, if I'm the examiner or the chairman, when I enter the Viva room and I see the slide, alamak. When you see your slide like that, it really kill my mood. So you have here something very relaxed and very nice. So sometimes maybe your presentation is not good, but then your slide also, your slide will help that. Okay, so try to do that. Okay. Okay, this is my suggestion. Okay, you need to understand that different supervisor have different view of preparing this slide presentation. But mostly it's more the same. More or less. So actually these are the important things that you need to have. The introduction. So normally introduction is one slide. The problem statement. And then the research objective and also the hypothesis, definition of term, the literature review. The literature review is literature that support your finding. Okay, so this one maybe one or two slide only, in a point form. So during the presentation, and then I will explain you how to present this one. The theoretical and the conceptual framework. This one is for the chapter 2. Normally for the chapter, the theoretical and conceptual framework, you need to, let's say you have 3 or 4 theories in your studies. So one theory, one slide, and then you need to explain because we are normally the examiner will look onto this one, the theoretical and the conceptual framework, especially the theoretical framework. You want to know what are the theory that you're going to use in your studies, and how do you blend your theoretical framework. And this one is most important, methodology. Okay, you need to be very clear in your methodology during the presentation. So you need to understand that for a thesis, a PhD thesis or master science thesis, if your methodology is wrong, your thesis collapse. Okay, mostly lah. If you are wrongly use your methodology, for example, your population is wrong, your sample is wrong, your instrument is wrong, and so on. So the whole process is the whole research is collapsed. So methodology is the backbone of your research. We as examiner we can help with your thesis if your literature is not good and so on. That one we can help. But then if your methodology is wrong, so normally this one we cannot help. So it's either you need to redo it again, or you need to collect data again. Okay. So if you don't have enough sample, or you pick if you pick a sample wrongly, so you need to collect again. And findings, discussion. Okay, this thing you need to differentiate between finding and discussion. Finding is that when you tabulate your output. Discussion is you elaborate based on your finding. Most of the student, the discussion and finding is the same. The discussion is the summarize of the finding. That is wrong. So discussion is different with finding. You need to differentiate between these two. And for PhD, we want to see the impact. So how this study contribute in terms of your knowledge, in terms of your field, and so on. For PhD, we are looking more on the impact, because this is the purpose of doing the PhD. So we want to the impact of your research. And the last one is the list of publication. Okay, this one if you have, you can publish. Let's say you have won some gold medal, you have a copyright and so on. Okay, this one really will impress. Okay, the list of publication actually will impress your examiners, but then it depends lah. So let's say you have you're studying on a module, and then you have one gold medal and so on. You have won 3 or 4 gold medals, and also you have a copyright on your module and so on, and you have papers. Look very impressive. Look very impressive, and that's why the examiner will have something different lah. So it shows that who you are. Or it shows that this student is different from others. Other student do PhD, prepare for Viva, present, finish. But then you not only do finish your PhD, submitting your thesis, but also you have the bonus factors. You have publications, you have certificate medals, you have copyright, and so on. Try to impress this one. Actually, this one really will help lah. Especially if you have something copyright with module or whatever. So it shows that you have shown your research to others and people recognize. Okay, people recognize your research. Okay. So these are the certain layout on the for the slide presentations. So as I said, maybe certain supervisor have a different view. Okay, this one I share with my students. Okay, so if don't mind, I share. This is some of the slide. My student. Okay, this is my master student. Dauda. So he's doing this one. So this is the introduction page. So make your supervisor proud. Okay, put your supervisor face inside here in front. This one. Okay. And then, okay, this one for the introduction. You can see that it's very simple. Text and so on. And this one is not readable. This one, because I copy paste, so okay, this one is not good. So you need to make sure that the font, the color from this one black and black. So basically we cannot read this one. So this one, the text font should be in white. And also this one. Yeah. So you need to make sure that the background color and the text is readable. So try to in the slide presentation, try you to use this infographic and also try to add some pictures, relevant pictures. Picture that something relate with whatever that you're going to present, and also pictures related with your research. Okay, so this is still in the okay, this one in the problem statement. You see, you cannot read the word problem statement because because the background and the text is not this word. So one problem, one point here. For example, this one is the first problem, second, third problem. So this my student put in a point form here. Okay, and then this one is the next problem statement. Okay, so he planned his problem statement. And then one slide, one problem statement is this one. Okay, okay. Okay, this one is the research objective. So normally I will ask my student to compile this one. Okay, when you present your research objective and the hypothesis, you don't need to read this one. Okay. Okay, during your presentation, you can present this. Okay, for in this research, I have 5 objectives. The first one is to describe this one. For the first objective, these are the research questions. You don't have to read up. You don't have to read these items. And then for the second objective is to describe this one. And then for the second objective, I've developed 6 research questions as shown in the slide. That's one. So you don't need to read one by one. Okay. And then this one for the third objective, 4 objectives, 5 objectives. Okay, for example, for the fourth objective, there are 3 hypotheses developed based on this objective 4. Okay, and so on. So these are the analysis that used to achieve the objective 4 and also to the related hypothesis. So you don't have to read this one. Because we want to save time. Okay, and so on. So you just basically I ask my student to just to read up the objective, the list of objective, and not the hypothesis. Okay, and for the operational for the definition of term, so Normally I ask my student to give the operational definition. So during the Viva, my student don't have you don't have to present, you don't have to read this one. You can mention that, okay, for this research we have, okay, we have what we call, eight variable related to these studies and as follows. So you just show the slide. So you don't need to read this one, you just show all the 8 operational definition of your slide. Okay. And then this one for the theoretical framework. So let's say for example, okay, his study is based on these 3 theory, TPB, TRA, dan TAM. So I would suggest that you have one slide on this TPB, explain on the first slide, and then you have another slide on the TRA, you have another slide on the TAM. So during the Viva, you need to elaborate this one. So when you spell out the theories, you need to inform how the theory relate with your studies. Why you choose this theory, then how this theory relate in your studies, and in the theoretical framework, how you blend all this theory into your theoretical framework. And after the theoretical framework, come the conceptual framework. So these are the conceptual framework from his study. Okay, this is a master science. Okay, so this is the literature review, for example. So these are the literature review that supported my for the research. Okay, during the presentation, the student didn't present this one. The student only mentioned that, okay, these are the literature that supported my studies. Okay, just show the slide. And these are this one. These are literature that support for each hypothesis in the studies. So you just show this one. You don't need to present. Okay. And okay, methodology. Okay. So the methodology. So these are the things. So this one is your research design, location, and this is your population. So you can sum up one the methodology under one slide. And this one is the population and the sample. So very detailed. So these are the population and these are the sample. So he summarized up how he get the sample. Okay, and this one is the instrument that the student use for his study, use it for his studies. Okay, so including the source. Okay, so okay, this one, and this one is the pilot test. So you need to mention the pilot test. How many involved in the pilot test, and also this is the output. So you can this one. And because he is doing the structure equation model, so these are the steps. So these are the output of the studies. Okay, and these are the conclusion. And this is the implication. Okay, and these are the recommendation and so on. Okay, this one is the list of publication that published from his research. So for the Viva, he has already 5 papers. 5 published papers. Okay, how many slides? So this is very difficult questions. Normally, if you ask your supervisor, if you ask me how many slides is enough, so you need to understand that during the Viva, you have only 20 to 30 minutes. You can have 100 slides, but you only need to present 20 to 30 minutes. So how many slides is very subjective. If I say you 20 slides, so we already prepared 20 slides. Okay, you can have 100 slides, but then your presentation must be within 20 to 30 minutes. Some chairperson, very strict chairperson like me, so normally after 20 minutes, I will ask the student to stop. Okay, so regardless if you only reach the chapter 3, okay, but then we ask you to stop. Normally a chairperson, they will the chairperson will inform how many time left. before he stopped the exam. Yeah, that's why you need to practice on that. Okay. 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 These are the things that you need to. Okay. These are the things you need to be take care of at during your presentation. Okay. Unclear objective. So this one you need to take care of during your proposal, unclear objective. Okay. You need to understand when you do research, okay, the objective should relate with your problem statement. Okay. So these are your problem statement. So these are your objective. So this is your methodology to achieve your objective, and these are the findings. So that one must be answered. Problem statement, objective, methodology, and finding. And then oversimplified problems. So you need to understand problem statement is very important. Okay, last time during the talk of Prof Latif, okay, so he have mentioned about how to find a good problem statement. So a good research should come from a good problem statement. Okay, and then the third thing is that if you have a literature review incomplete, this one need to be taken care of at the early stage. Not after you have submit your thesis. Now you just realize, oh, this one not enough, that one doesn't enough, and so on. And you start adding your thesis. So make sure that this thing need to be taken care of before you submit your thesis. And then the theoretical framework is not convincing. We very okay, these are among the things that we always face, student always face. Using the wrong theory are not related with your studies and so on. Okay, and unconvincing methodology. So as I mentioned earlier, if your methodology is not correct, so the whole thing will be collapsed. And then insufficient data or experiment. So let's say you promise that you have you based on the calculation you should have 380, but then you only manage to get 350 without justification. So that one we will face a big problem on that. And then unclear conclusion. Okay, and then bad language and grammar, and then the most thing is the plagiarism. Okay, in terms of plagiarism, I would like to share some of my experience. I have come across one experience that this student, this one is way back 2007. My first role as a chairman. Okay, we come across this student. She actually plagiarized from a journal. She copied the one whole paragraph, and not a paragraph, 2 pages, 2 pages from a journal, and then she put it in the thesis. And then during the Viva, okay, the external examiners, which one the external examiner is in the field, realize this one. And the external examiner shows the proof lah to the students. And can you imagine if you are facing this type of problem, how are you going to answer that? That's why you need to be sincere. Another thing is that I faced a very funny situation. Okay, there's this student. You know that when you want to use any instrument, okay, you want to use any instrument, you need to have what we call that. You need to have approval from the owner, isn't it? From the owner of the instrument. So the mechanism is that you need to email the owner and request for the approval, and the owner will reply. And one student actually during the Viva, and what she wrote in the thesis, she wrote that the owner has passed away. Okay, So that's why she cannot get the approval because the owner is passed away. And then that during the Viva, okay, one of the examiners, the internal examiner at that time, the internal examiner actually show proof that the examiner is not dead. Because she wrote to the examiners asking whether she is still alive or not. And the examiner replied with a picture of he and his family. So during the Viva, the examiner shows the proof. Can you imagine? You know what? The funny thing is that what the student, the approval, the instrument owner is the examiner supervisors. So so the examiner very shocked lah. What my supervisor is already passed away. So and then that's why she wrote to the examiners. She wrote to the owner whether you are still alive. So and then he replied. So in it, so for all of you, students, you need to be. That's why again I tell you that when you do a research, be sincere. Okay, be honest with what you have done, what you done, and don't try to do funny things, unethical things. If you don't have it, then you say you don't have it. If you cannot get it, then you think other thing. Don't try to, what we call that, don't try to twist the situation by proving different things. I also caught one of the students. Okay, the student stated that she asked someone to translate her instrument from Malay to English. Okay, but then when I emailed to the particular person, okay, actually the lecturer said that she didn't do any translation for the students. So then if you are caught in this type of situation, can you imagine? You will see that during the Viva, the world is upside down. Okay, and you start getting all the dizzy things. And then and then the worst part is that you give a very bad impression to the examiners. So we know that what type of person you are. Okay, all right. Okay, okay. So these are the things, the preparation that you may happen. Okay, so I would suggest that for the Viva session, you need to practice. Okay, even though you are a good teacher, even though you are a motivator, even though you have give us several talks and so on, okay, but Viva session is different. Viva session is where you talk intellectually based on your research and so on, and you are facing people who really, okay, examiner who are really know about your stuff. So you need to practice. So everything we answer with different people, students, staff, friends, and so on. So you might ask your supervisor to do a mock viva or other lecturers if they want. In fact, in our faculty also, the TD, the deputy dean also have arranged for students who like to have a mock viva. We have on that. So maybe you can contact the graduate school, faculty graduate school, not UPN graduate school. Faculty graduate school that you would like to have a mock viva, so it will help. And then using Viva strategies. So during the practice, using Viva strategies, and also for the mental practice. And then discuss research with peers, rehearsal. So rehearsal. Normally, I with my student, I do 2 or 3 times mock Viva. The first time always collapse. Okay. So the second time depends. If the second time is much better than the first time, so I stop there. If the second time didn't help, so we go for the third Viva. So only that lah. But then not in the morning of the Viva. And then visualize your Viva and so on. So need to practice, and do the mock Viva. Okay. and don't take for granted Viva process. So don't think that you can go this process without doing any practice. I know that some students having problem in terms of the language, in terms of the communication, in terms of the skill, presentation skill. These disadvantage can be you can avoid this all the scary things, this one, okay, by practicing, by rehearsal and so on. And the most important thing that for do the rehearsal is that you need to time your presentation. As I mentioned, that you need to your presentation is within 20 to 30 minutes, isn't it? So these are the opportunity for you to practice, right? Okay. Okay, this one on the during the Viva. Okay. So make sure that the day before your Viva, sleep early and don't not go to you need to sleep early and not sleep. Okay. So you need to make sure that during the Viva you have a very fresh mind, fresh physical, and so on. Okay. All right. So okay, this one. So become. So just check out the place. So come early. Eh? Now it's online, so maybe this one is different. I don't know how long that we are going to do this one. For example, last year we had the MCO on March, but then the MCO finished during the October. So during October we have the online. During the MCO we have the online, but then after the MCO, during the other until certain period, we have also face to face. So we don't know that what is going to happen to your Viva. Maybe online, maybe face to face. Anyway, doesn't matter whether it's online or face to face. You need to be prepared. Okay. So during the Viva, check out the place. So you come earlier. Right? If you do the online, so maybe 1 hour before, interact with the examiners. Okay, you come early. Some examiner will come early. Just have a chit chat with the examiners. Okay, and then do not speak to. Okay, this one, when you do the presentation, do not speak to the screen or to your laptop. This one if you're the face to face. But then when you do the online, okay, you don't read. Atau you don't need to speak this one. Do not read from any material. So this one is we are very annoyed. If a student read from a slide, the examiner we have a different view. Speak slowly, clearly, and correctly. So be calm and try to speak clearly. If you are okay. Okay, this is normally these are the process. Okay, the first one when you entered. Okay, first one, the chairman need to make sure that the students and the examiners were in there. So the rule is that out of 3 examiners, 2 examiners must be around. Must be around, must be online, and also the chairman by himself also need to be around, and also the assistant chairman. So if they have the all these people inside the room, so normally the examiner will ask, the chairperson will ask the student and also the supervisors to leave the room for a minute. So the first deliberation is that where we as examiner we will discuss what are the pro and cons of your thesis, what are the strength, the weakness of your thesis, what are the things that we need to highlight during the Q&A. So by right, during the first deliberation, this one we already have the verdict, the early verdict. So normally the chairperson will have a decision during this time. Okay, at this moment, maybe we are planning to give the student a resubmission, for example. And then after the 20 or 20 minutes, it depends. If the discussion is longer, then you need to understand that there is a problem with your thesis. If the discussion is very short, it should be okay. So that one is that one is our normally our early prediction. Yeah. So if the discussion is very short, so by right we don't have any problem. But if the discussion is long, 1 hour and a half, then we can estimate that will be a very, very, very long Viva. Okay. And then okay, after the first deliberation, we are call the student and the supervisor to come in and start the presentation. 20 minutes only. And then we have the Q&A. Eh? So the Q&A, we don't have the limitation of the Q&A. Eh? Sometimes it can take through 3 to 4 hours. Eh? But as I mentioned that in my case, my student, we have only 30 minutes Q&A session. It depends on how good is your thesis. Eh? So the Q&A, and then after that, we will ask the student to leave the room for the final deliberation. So at this stage is where the verdict comes. Eh? So we will decide this one. Okay, based on the discussion. So maybe our final deliberation with the first deliberation will be different. So that one, as I mentioned earlier, it depends on your slide presentation and your Q&A. So normally these two parts will play a big role in when we come to the recommendation. And after that, after we have do the decision and so on, again we call the supervisor and the student, and we give the verdict. Yeah, we give the verdict, and then we explain what are the things that need to be improved in the thesis and so on. Yeah, so the outcome, the announcement. Okay. Okay, so this one, the presentation, this one I have highlighted, and the Q&A. So the unlimited time. So opportunity for you to answer intelligently, to clear the doubt, and so on. Okay. Each answer must give you more confidence. Okay. The last Viva, okay, try to avoid this type of thing. We ask the student, okay, why this, justify they did this, and the student answer, the answer that okay, I've referred to so many journals. The journals do like this one, like this one, this one. You cannot that type of answer is not it's not academic answer. You cannot use what other people do to defend your whatever the questions. You cannot say, oh, I've wrote according to this thesis. I've referred to according to this one, this one, this one, and the people write like this one. These are the different. No, you cannot. You cannot answer like that. So you need to make sure that your answer is intelligent enough, and then intelligent, one thing, convince enough for the examiner to understand, to accept, not understand, to accept your justification. Right. Okay, so these are some of the tips. Prepare answer by providing evidence. Okay, this one yang okay, this one normally your supervisor will help you. Okay, normally your supervisor will know what are the questions they're going to ask, so you need to prepare. During the Viva, you need to bring all your statistical analysis. You need to bring your whatever the questionnaire. Let's say you're using the questionnaire, so bring all the questionnaire. If you need to pull a very big bag, then you need to pull a very big bag. You can put inside your car. You don't have to bring in the Viva room, but you need to bring. Some examiner want to see the proof. You said that you have collected 380 questionnaire. Can I see that one? Okay, yeah, come across that. If you do a qualitative analysis, we examiner want to see how you do the transcribing. We want to see the proof. We want to see the audio, how you record, and so on. So these are the evidence that need to be prepared in your PCs. And then know your thesis. You should be able to refer to any page. Okay. And okay, these are the biggest mistake that students always do. Okay, You need to understand that whatever that thesis you submitted to the examiners need to be same with the thesis that you are going to refer. Okay, we are very seldom we come across that when the examiner, the very detailed examiner, asks the student to turn on page 126, paragraph 3, and the examiner read this one, and you refer to your thesis, it's different. 123 is different thing with the examiners and with your thesis. So make sure that even though if you have amend, you have do some correction in your thesis, during the Viva, okay, during the Viva, you need to bring the same, you need to refer to the same thesis with your examiners. Uh, I, as a chairperson or as a examiner, I don't like students to refer in the notebook. For example, we say we refer this one, the student open the software, the file and refer that one. Okay, I want to me, I want the student to refer to the thesis. But maybe different examiner, different thing. Because when you refer to your soft copy, you have to do some editing and so on. And then don't beat around the bush. Okay, so answer straightforward. Okay, don't try to whatever we ask you from here, you are trying to say something else. You're not answering the question accordingly, and then answer in depth. So we ask you question, we ask you a very long question, your answer is no, or your answer is yes. Okay, so you need to have a very depth answer. Short answer indicate lack of knowledge of this one. And then the last thing is that you need to think as you talk. Okay, you need to understand that everything that when the every answer that you given to the examiners, they will use this one as their judgment. Okay, that's why I mentioned earlier, everything that you wrote in your thesis, you need to be you need to responsible to everything that you write in your thesis, you wrote in your thesis. The same thing that everything that whatever you talk during your Viva, you need to really understand and be responsible to the things that you talk. Because we are going to use that as our judgment. Okay, all right. And then this during the Viva need to become okay. Uh, Sometimes maybe you have heard that during the Viva. Okay, I've come across once during the Viva, the student somehow have a heart attack. No, not heart attack. The student having a high blood. Eh? So we can see that the student is going to faint. Okay, so during that time we stop. Okay, so be calm. Okay, don't get worked up over examinary marks. So that's why you need to be mentally prepared on this one, physically, health, and so on. Then you need to have a good night's sleep, and then to have a very fresh mind. Keep your confidence. Okay, each answer must increase your confidence. Take note. Show that they are in common interest on you. Okay. Some of our examiner we have come across this type of attitude and student attitude during the Viva. When the examiner asks the question, okay, the student not concentrating on the question asked by the examiner, but then do other things. For example, replying WhatsApp, looking at other things. We ask them to on the in the okay, normally in the laptop, looking at other things and so on. So you need to listen to your examiners. Now in the Viva, okay, I'm not sure lah. So avoid try to take some notes lah. For example, no, meaning that okay, whatever the concern given by the examiners, you don't need to write. Because the examiner will give the full report on that. You just listen whatever the comment given by the examiners and try to remember. If I am the supervisor of the student, Okay. Normally, I will write down all the comment given by the examiners. But that one is me, yeah. If I'm the supervisor, I will ask the student to focus on answering the question and by not writing the comments given, because I will do that one. Eh? And then if you afraid that you are going to miss out whatever the comment given, you don't worry, because towards the end you will have a full report based on your examination, based on the Viva verdict. Okay, then another thing is that don't argue. You can argue, but don't overdoing it. So you need to accept errors, omission. What if the errors is acceptable? Okay. Okay. Normally examiners, they everything. Examiners is person who know, if they argue about your finding and so on, they will justify. The examiner normally will justify, will give proof, whatever on their comments. So if you think that the comment is acceptable, just accept the errors. Omission examiner personal. You need to omit examiner personal view, criticism, and don't be too defensive. You can defend, but avoid to be too defensive. Eh? And then reply, sorry, this one is reply intelligently. Defend your work, agreeable on this one, although they don't agree with you. Some students, they try to defend, but the defense is not that good. And then the way I always come across the student, when they defend, they use the same point. I've read this journal saying this one. I've read this journal saying this one. This type of defense is not intelligent enough lah to me. Okay, so these are the things that need to be considered. Okay, okay. So this, try to avoid these mistakes. Okay. The first thing, the badly prepared slide. This one is very important. The first impression. Okay. The first impression is that your thesis. If your thesis is badly prepared, so that one will give the burst of, and then when comes to Viva, your slide also badly prepared. So we have the two. Can you imagine you prepare, your thesis is bad, and then when come to presentation, your slide also bad. So it just show that what type of person you are, what type of student you are. So that one you need to take care of. Don't take for granted all these type of things. And then number two, no interaction with panel. Panel asks you, you keep quiet. We know that normally before the Viva start, the examiner will have some chit chat with you, and the student trying to be very nervous without replying and show the annoying attitude and so on. So try to avoid that. We examiner, we understand. We understand this one. And then the third one, the presentation not focused. Okay, this one maybe because you don't do your rehearsal. Talking too softly or loudly. Okay, this one you need to avoid. The keyword that you need to respect your examiners and your chairperson. Presentation too long. Okay, this one seldom happen. But normally after 20 minutes, the examiner will stop you. The chairperson will have you, and also the contents. You need to understand that some examiners like me. Sometimes you will receive what we call that as a stupid question. Some examiner will ask a stupid question, but then we are expecting you to give a very good answer. You can have a stupid question, but your answer need to be very, very good. Because we want to check your knowledge. Because this type of question is just to trick. Actually, we don't want to see what in your answer. We want to see how you face this type of questions. We want to see your intelligence. We want to see the other things. Sometimes we ask you, why you study educational technology? Why you don't study educational administration? See, that one, the question is stupid, but you need to give a very good answer on that. So we all also be prepared to face this type of questions during the Viva. Okay. And then, okay, this one is during the presentation. You don't have flow for your presentation. You have your language problem. Okay. And then your presentation is monotonous. When you do presentation, try to have a varieties of what you call that? The frequency, not frequency, the way you present. Don't like reading news and so on. And try to avoid this one. Okay. Everything that I've come several as a Viva. When we ask the student question, my supervisor asked me to do that. My supervisor asked me to do that. I don't know. I don't want to do this one, but my supervisor asked to do that. Towards at the end, both of them are quarrel inside the Viva. Okay, so you don't blame your supervisor during the Viva. Okay, you want, if you want to blame your supervisor, uh, you can blame it after the Viva, not during the Viva, because we are the chairperson. We have our different type of view. So anything happen in the Viva is the responsible of the student and the supervisors. And try to avoid this type of answer. I do not know. If I have a question, I do not know. I do not know. And do not argue or too defensive. Do not argue or too defensive. Do not argue or too defensive, because some examiners don't like student to too defensive. You can defend, but not too defensive. All right. Okay. This one. Don't say my supervisor asked me to do this or to do that. So your supervisor will be turned green. Okay, during the Viva. Okay. Okay. Wait. Okay, so these are the things that you need to avoid. One word or irrelevant answers. Okay, showing reluctant to engage in the discussion. So try to avoid these things. Showing disrespect to the examiners, getting angry. So that's why you need to be prepared with your emotional. Emotional. This one. Okay. Getting defensive, asking examiners question. You need to understand that during the Viva, the examiner will only the examiner ask you a question, not the vice versa. Don't be towards the end, the examiner will ask you the question. No, you ask the examiner the question. So you are doing the Viva, not the examiners. Showing the examiner that you do not know your work, confused. This one try to avoid. Not understanding the question. Okay. Some student we know that we, our examiner, we have come across so many Viva. We know all the tricks. All the tricks is inside our pocket. So some students tend to avoid from answering the question by asking the examiner to repeat the question. So hoping that the examiner will skip the question. So actually it doesn't help. So need to be focused on that, on the questions. Okay. Okay. And then during the Viva, you need to be, you expect to be nervous, but try to deal with it positively and constructive. We understand that during the Viva, all this negative feeling will be in with you. And we examiner, we understand that. So sometimes we have different examiners. So some examiners like to teasing you, some examiners like to provoking you. So it depends on your luck lah. But however, you can avoid this one by practice. Practice make perfect. Practice can be in different manner. Okay, you can practice with your friend, with your family, or you can practice by attending the conference and so on. So these are the things that need to be prepared earlier. So practice, 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 practice. Practice is not this one. Okay. Okay. these are the verdict. This one is the latest verdict. Okay. These are maybe the among the recommendation that you are going to get. Okay. For the distinction. Okay. So the distinction is when all or most of the research finding have either been published or accepted. This one is the new rule. So let's say you have a distinction. So in 15 days, you need to submit your thesis. So to get this distinction is I don't know. You need to be a very 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 good lah. And now the second verdict may be minor modification. So normally these are the things that are involved in the minor modification: reformatting chapter, revision literature, improvement, and so on. And for minor modification, you have 30 days. Okay. Sorry. Minor modification, you have 60 days. This one is the old one. 60 days. 60 days. And then for the major modification, you have 3 months. I think remember you check back. This one the old one. So now the UPM have changed. The previous one, the minor modification is 30 days. Now the minor modification is 3 months. Whereby the major modification 6 months now. Last time is 60 days. So you may have the major modification, or you may have the oral re-examination. We call it as a reviva. Okay. So if you have this verdict, reviva. Okay, reviva. I also give. I've also experienced giving student a reviva. Several students. Okay, what going to happen to reviva? Reviva is when you do the presentation, you are not convincing enough on your presentation. Okay, we didn't see your scholar for during your presentation. That's why we asked you to present again to be more prepared. So maybe normally the revival, maybe your thesis is good, but during your presentation, during your Q&A, is not convincing enough. So maybe we give you pass for your thesis, but you need to come and do the revival again. Okay, but many cases also that I've come across, we give you a major modification with the revival. Yeah. So we give the major and also revival, or sometimes I have a case that we give the revival first, and then during the second revival, we give the verdict on this one, whether want to give the major or minor. But if also you fail for your second revival, so that's it. So considered as fail. Or try to avoid from having these two. The previous slide is okay if you get anybody or that one, but then try to avoid having the decision. Resubmission. Okay, resubmit. You need to have if a resubmission, meaning that there will be a huge flaws in your thesis, very obvious flaw in your thesis. Your methodology is wrong, experimental and so on, that you need to recollect your data. So you give a resubmission. Normally we give you 2 years. Or the worst part is that resubmission for everything, and then you don't have a PhD. You register as a PhD student, but you graduate as a master thesis. So meaning that during the Viva, the examiner found that your PhD work didn't reach the PhD level. It's only reached at the master level. So instead of giving you a PhD certificate, they awarded you as a master thesis. Okay. So far I haven't come across this one. Okay. Normally so my experience, I haven't come across distinction and also this resubmission as others. I give the verdict for the other decision. And the moment after you step out after giving Viva, so it's like an early, we call it early celebration. Right. Okay, these are another things. Dealing with question. Okay. My experience that some students think that after finishing the Viva, they already get the PhD. And that one is wrong. Actually, dealing with correction is tougher than submitting your thesis. Actually, okay. So I've experienced two of my students do correction nearly 1.5 years. Yeah. So I'm sure that many other supervisors also face the same problem. So no, the student think that after they finish their Viva, they already graduated. Okay, but actually no. Yeah, because for the when you dealing with correction during the Viva, the examiner give you so many comments, and then you get demotivated and so on. So it delay your correction and so on. So you need to understand, some examiners give a very detailed report. So you will see that some of your friends will have 3 or 4 pages report, but then some of your friends will have 15 or 16 pages report. So like me, okay, normally everything that I wrote in the report, I justify, and then I give some proof. That's why normally I give a very detailed report. Actually, it helps the student to understand, and actually I want to help the student to get a better thesis. So you need to understand that. Okay, when you receive your report, okay, normally after 1 or 2 weeks, by VAR, the what we call it, the assistant chairperson will submit a report to the SGS. So the date start, the date start 60 days, 30 days, and so on. Start when you receive the report from the graduate school. That on the day it started from that day, not from the Viva date. They started from the day you receive your report. So you read the report carefully. Okay, read line by line first. Okay, and then work with your supervisors on the correction. So go and see your supervisors. Okay, now before that you need to read the first and then try to understand. Maybe some other comment that you having problem with that, so you can discuss with your supervisors. Plan your work. Make sure that correction are made in a timely manner. So if they give you 30 days, so 30 days you need to finish it, or 60 days and so on. So you need to plan this one. Agree on our agenda and timing. You need to give at least a week for, okay, this one. Let's say you do a correction. Okay, you need to make sure that you give the examiners very enough time for the examiners to check the correction. Okay, so you don't okay, these are the tricks that normally student will do. Okay, let's say the deadline is tomorrow, then you start giving the examiners today. So you expect the examiner to sign it tomorrow, by tomorrow. And if you send it to me, I'll ask you to go back and come another week. Okay, so we don't care, we as examiner, we don't care whether it's 1 week or whatever. But if you if you give us enough time, let's say 1 week or 2 weeks, so if we didn't sign, if we didn't give back, then it's our fault. But if you give less than 24 hours, or you give 3 days, so if the examiner don't want to sign, so you cannot blame the examiners. You need to understand that sometimes when you give the correction to the examiners, some examiner will not agree on the first time. Okay, that one is normal happen lah. Don't expect that every time the first time that you send your correction, the examiner will sign. So for me, you don't expect that lah. So you need at least 2 weeks lah. Okay, the first draft that you give to the examiners, maybe the examiner will ask you to do other. There are things that the examiner is not satisfied. With your report and so on. So you need to redo it again. I have an experience that the student, okay, you don't put the pressure on the examiners. Some student, when they have delay, they have given the examiner last minute. Okay, this one I faced. The student need to submit the thesis by this today. Let's say today, let's say by before 4, and he come and see me by 11 o'clock. And he asked me to sign, because he need to submit it. If not, the SGS will, the graduate school will terminate him. And he put a lot of pressure to me. He complained to the dean, he complained to the SGS graduate school and so on, and try to put the blame on me, and put the blame on us and so on. So by the way, I didn't sign. Okay, so these are the things that don't pressure your, don't put the pressure to for your examiners. And also supervisor, you need also understand. Supervisor also, you need to look to your students. So don't give any pressure. Okay, and okay, these are the another thing is that when you do the report, okay, when you do the report, so you need to have this one. Okay, sorry, these are the comment given in the report. Okay, so these are the correction. So you need to answer, you need to answer the comment. For example, okay, the person wrote this one, the title of the thesis is not suitable. So these are the things that you need to answer. Okay, the thesis title was changed to as this one. Okay, right. And then, okay, these are the comment. Both abstract we need. Okay, so whenever you receive comment given in the report, you need to answer it first. What you have done, okay, and not copy and paste whatever from your thesis. Okay, answer. Okay, this one you have done this one, and so on. Okay, for example, research problem, rewrite the problem you want to return. It's not clear this one. So what, based on this comment, okay, what are the things that you have done? Explain this one, and then you can ask the examiner to refer to a certain page. Okay, for example, this one. Okay, see the student, she replied this like this. Okay, so the process after you do the correction, okay, so you need to this one, you need to provide a report, research the list of correction report. Okay, the first thing is that the supervisors need to sign first. The supervisors make sure that all the correction were done accordingly to the comment. And then supervisor, you need to be responsible. Okay, you need to understand, even though your supervisor sign, doesn't mean the examiner will sign. So supervisor need to be more responsible on this one. Okay, then after your supervisor have signed, then the examiners will sign. And then lastly, then you ask the chairman. Don't make appointment on the same day with your supervisor, examiners, and chairman. Some students, they are using this type of trick. They ask, they make appointment by examiner. Okay, this examiner, I have made appointment with the chairman. The chairman agreed to sign at 4 p.m. So you ask the examiner to sign at 3 p.m. Okay, don't do that. After you have finished, after your supervisor have signed, then you make appointment with your examiners. After your examiner has signed, then you make your appointment with your chairman. Don't make appointment simultaneously. Okay. So you don't, you will, maybe your examiner will not sign. The chairman will not sign if the examiner didn't sign. And the supervisor will, the examiner will not sign if the supervisor haven't signed. Okay. Okay, so okay, plan right, do your correction properly and coordinate to the report, give supervision and examiner and time to check. Okay, this one at least 1 week for the examiner. Discuss with your supervisors and examiners, and don't push your examiners to sign. Okay, this one is very important. Don't push your examiners to sign. Some examiners, they're very annoying about these things. The more you try to push them, the more the angrier they will more very reluctant to sign. All right. Okay, so for that, I finish with my presentation, and I hope that whatever that I present just now will help you. And then my last word is that for a Viva. Okay, good luck on your Viva. So if you have just be honest with your work for your research work. As I mentioned that your research work is the Viva is started from during your proposal presentation, not this one. And don't take for granted for your Viva. Okay, more you need to be really prepared for your Viva. Okay. All right. Okay. If you have any questions, one or two questions before I end this session. I try to look at your this one. Okay. Okay. Another thing, please in the chat room. Okay, they have a form for you to fill in because I'm recording this one, so I will send the record based on the email given. So look at the chat room. Haikal I've given the link for you to fill in. Yeah. Okay. By the time I want to get the answer. Okay. For example ni, apa pandangan tentang skrip pembentangan penggunaan template UPM wajib atau? Okay. For a student, whether we can use the UPM template or not, no. Okay. So you can use your own template. You don't have to use the UPM template. Okay. You can use your you can use your own template. By right, UPM template is only can be used by the lecturers actually for the presentation. Or if you are presenting in the conference, yes. Because you are representing UPM. Let's say you go to a conference, present, then you have to you can use the UPM template. But in the Viva, it's optional. You can use or you cannot. Okay, and then other questions. What if the paper is our own paper? Can we copy and paste some of the paragraph? Ellie, apa maksudnya what is the paper? Okay, if the you meaning that you want to cite your own papers, so you can cite your own papers inside your thesis. Okay, did the student get a PhD degree, Prof? As I heard that sometimes student did a master degree or graduate a PhD degree. This one normally we don't have. Okay, you enroll as a master student, but you are expecting you are graduate with a PhD. That one will not happen during the Viva. If you think that your research is good enough to convert to PhD, you need to do it earlier at the early stage, semester 1 and semester 2, not at the end of the end. So normally the verdict will not. The verdict will be PhD to master, not master to PhD. Yeah. Whose slide you showed as a publisher, so use a high level quantitative method. Okay, this one no. My student the slide I use for my student is only graduate for a master's. Yeah, and he got a minor. I'm still facing problem with the Zoom. I hope that everybody have received the file. How about suggestion slide for qualitative method research? It doesn't need the hypothesis. Okay, for qualitative, you don't have to have the hypothesis, only the research question. Okay, so I think I finished answering your questions. All right, so thank you very much to all of you. And then for those who are waiting for Viva, I wish you good luck. So don't if you think that my presentation only will scaring you, then you should. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier that you need to be prepared, fully prepared. Don't take for granted on that. So Viva, you don't want okay. I always ask my student all this thing, this term. You have prepared for your master, your PhD 3 or 4 years, but you need to understand that if during the Viva you only have 3 or to 4 hours, so you have only that time to show your scholar and so on. So you don't sometimes all the hard work for 3 or 4 years will be vanished under 3 or to 4 hours. So make sure you are really prepared for your Viva. So that one will be the opportunity for you to to improve your one lah. Alright. So
Hello, Prof. Hello, Prof.
yeah.
Please, can we get the slide for this presentation?
Wait. I try. You just enroll lah. Wait. Wait. I try to upload again. Okay, I've upload again. How long we need to wait for Viva after we submitted the thesis? Okay, this one is very how long you sorry. Wait. I think I've got I've to okay, I've upload my presentation in the chat room. Okay, how long we need to wait? Okay, graduate school give us at least 3 months. The day from the day they email to the examiners. So okay, that's why gini. You have submitted your thesis is today. So normally examiner, the graduate school will email or post the thesis to the examiner in 1 or 2 weeks. Then the examiner will have 2 or 3 months. 2 or 3 months to read the thesis and to go and then to give the return the report and so on. So you can estimate that around 3 to 4 months lah. So 3 to 4 months before the day you submit your thesis. So you need to understand during the 3 to 4 months, during the 3 to 4 months after you submitting your thesis, try to publish more papers. During that time, you don't have to focus on your research. So normally students after they submitting their thesis, they feel so relaxed. I would highly suggest that during waiting for the Viva process, please write papers. So because this paper will help you on when in your Viva process. So if you have the faculty and so on. So normally if you have more papers, so it's more convincing during that one. Okay, probably untuk di ESCI, I think they allow on the ESCI. If the student wait more than 4 months, this is normal. Yes. Okay. So normally for supervisors, you need to take note of this one. Okay. You don't put the pressure on the. You don't call the GS. Asking you can email the GS for your Viva, but then let your supervisor do the work lah. So if the student wait more than 4 months, it's normal. Because you need to understand some examiners take more time. So normally the graduate school will take note of that, and the graduate school will start putting the pressure to the examiners. So
Prof,
yeah.
Prof, what
Yeah.
if thesis kita in English, then kita memang expected to present in English kan?
Memang.
Let's say kalau kita tiba-tiba terblank ke atau kita tak boleh nak
Boleh.
deliver in English, can we mix with bahasa?
Okay, your thesis in English, your presentation must be English, but maybe in the Q&A you can mix. But then presentation need to be English. You can. Macam mana you nak present blank? Belum apa-apa dah blank dah.
Time Q&A lah especially kan.
Q&A boleh mix. You can mix.
Okay.
Tapi presentation pun dah cakap Melayu macam mana? Apa-apa dah belum apa-apa dah pitam. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Okay, I think that.
Yeah, Prof. Excuse me, Prof. I still cannot get the slide. I didn't see it in the chat room.
Preparing. I think I email to. I will email the slide with the recording. Okay. You have submitted in the Google form.
Okay.
All right. Okay. If 2:30.
Doctor, Prof.
Yeah.
Prof, can I ask you?
Okay. Okay.
If the examiner asks one question and this question is difficult to answer, or for example, the student don't have any idea about this question, so what should we do in
Okay.
this situation?
Try to answer. Doesn't matter it's right or wrong, but then you every question need to be answered. Okay. So if you say that you try to answer you try to give your best effort to answer the question. If the examiner will still not satisfied, then the examiner will guide you. But if still they're not satisfied, then you say that I'm sorry, I cannot I cannot answer this one. And then you need to, because we examiner, we don't expect this type of answer. Actually you should know, because we always answer question related with your study, with your research. We don't answer,
Uh,
we ask question beyond your this one lah.
but sometimes some examiner ask us about the SPSS in deep question in SPSS. In this situation, what we have to do, because we are not expert in SPSS. For
I don't,
example,
okay, I don't know that, but then normally my experience is that we always ask question related with that one. So we don't ask question beyond what the student didn't do. So for example, the previous time I asked the student to open to open the SPSS. So normally I will ask them to show the statistical analysis that the student get for the statistical analysis. So I want them to show. So normally the question you can answer unless you didn't do that. So we also come across that student didn't do the analysis. They hire someone to do the analysis and so on. And also you need to understand, we also know that some students they hire someone to write their thesis. We have come across that. So please don't do this type of thing. This is unethical. Some of the students have a lot of money. They start hiring. You can hire other person for a proofread, but you don't hire a person to write the whole thesis. Okay, whatever you do these unethical things, you will get caught during the viva. So during the viva, all the things will come out lah. So that's why I say that you need to be honest with your research. You need to be honest with your whatever that you're doing for your studies. Then you'll be fine. All right. Okay. So again, thank you very much. So I wish you, for all of you are waiting for the viva, good luck. I hope that whatever that I present today, so it will help you. Okay. So thank you very much. So I end my presentation now. Assalamualaikum. Thank you. The slide will be emailed to all of you.
Thank you, Prof.
Right.
Thank you, Doctor.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Right.
Thanks, Prof.
All right.
Jazakallah khairan, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Mm.
Thank you, Prof.